Okay, we're going to take loose a Saturn Vue CVT transmission. This is a VT25, and we're going to start with the pan, going to the valve body. Okay, now that we got the pan bolts out, the next step is to take the valve body off, and there are 10mm bolts that we have to take out to take the valve body bolts out, and then there are three smaller bolts which you will be able to see later on, but the valve body has to come out first, because there is a little tab there which you will see. I'll point it out to you, that could be broken if you try to take um, the other parts off before taking the valve body out. So you have to take off these clips. Why those are in there, they're supposed to keep the clip from falling out, but the clip itself is strong enough to stay in. One thing I want to say about this Saturn Vue CVT, it's not a bad transmission. Saturn Vue did go out of business, or excuse me, Saturn went out of business. However, the transmission itself is not bad. The reason people look at it as being bad is the cost of the parts are astronomical. And the reason for that is the parts are not available in the aftermarket. I've said this on other CVTs also. If you've seen some of the other CVTs that I was taking apart, they're pretty much the same way. It's not that the transmission itself is bad, it's that the parts are not available readily in the aftermarket. So rebuilders are looking for used parts, chasing after used parts in order to try to put a transmission back together. Even though I'm one who likes to rebuild these CVTs, I would recommend, if you're going to buy a car, that you take that vehicle's VIN number, either car or truck, SUV, whatever. Take the VIN number down, call the dealer, and find out what type of transmission is in there. If it has a CVT inside of it, you know that you're going to probably pay upwards to $2,500 for a used one inside an auto salvage yard. Okay, that's for a used one, and they don't even know if it's going to work. A new one is about 3,000, maybe 3,500. Those are the three bolts right there. That I believe they're number 7s that you have to take out of the valve body. Um, with the parts being as expensive as they are, not too many people like to have these vehicles repaired. Therefore, you will see a lot of them going to the auto auction. But then people buy them. You may can get a Saturn Vue a beautiful car for $700-800, and people think they have gotten a deal until they drive it back and find out that the transmission is bad, and they find out the transmission is going to cost uh, maybe $1,600, $1,700 just to repair, on up to $3,000. So most all CVTs are this way. So make sure, take the VIN number and pay attention to whether or not that car has a CVT transmission in there. Okay, now the valve body is out. Now, there is a tab on the valve body. I will show you right here. This tab that goes into a slot inside the transmission. This tab right there, I'm going to show you where it goes. That's the ratio control motor that is attached to, but it fits in, come on, right here. You see there in this slot there, there's a little box right there. I have the screwdriver showing you. You have to get that slot, that tab into that slot, that little lever. If you do not, there will be no gear ratio changes. That part down there is the follower. It follows the sheath up and down. So you have to get it in there so that it will work properly. Okay, that's it for the valve body. Now we're going to move on to part 2 and finish disassembling